Hi, this is Cindy Cheyney, and this is my Capstone project for DTL8000. What I've done here is created a website using Google Sites for my computer applications class. I teach 9th through 12th grade. And we use Microsoft Office, but we're also use Google Docs in the second half of the year. So I've concentrated on the, I should say, Google applications. I've concentrated on those for this website. Anyway, this is the main page and the home page. And then over on the sidebar here, I have links to Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides. And then here is some games that the kids can play, an exit ticket, and a little about me. And I'll get to those pages in a moment. You can also pick each of the sub pages here. So we'll go to Google Docs, and we have the objectives for the lessons here. And also on each page, I have a link to the textbook that we're going to use. And that takes a minute to open. So I'm going to go back to this for a minute. We can see the objectives for this particular lesson so the kids know what it is they're going to be doing. And I'm going to pick on the first lesson in Google Docs, which is a very basic lesson. Let's see if the book opened up yet. Oh, it's still loading. I haven't been able to do anything about that. It does load. It just takes a few minutes. Anyway, here's the lesson. I've stated the objectives again on this page. This is the task that they're going to be doing. Here's step-by-step instructions. I've taken a page from the book, did a little shot of that, and put it in here so they could see. But they can also, if this ever opens, go back to the book. Here it is. And they can see it here. When I'm in class, I include handouts of this, copies of this. So anyway, they have access to this online. The reason that this is good, and the reason that I made this whole page, is that a lot of times we have students that are out for whatever reason, illness, suspension, and this way they can keep up with the class. They can, I have a Google Classroom page which says what lesson we're doing, and there is a link to this site. So they can keep up and do the same work that the students that are physically in class are doing. This is also something that I would like to incorporate maybe in snow days, so we don't have to make up the work when we get back. And the third reason that I wanted to use this page is that we have students that attend school at night because of disciplinary problems, we call it alternative school. And this way they can do the same lessons as the daytime students, but they're not in class, they're not causing problems, but they can still be part of it. And in some of the things, for example, the flip grid, they could make videos and see videos of other students. I'll get to that in a minute. Over here, I have a basic tutorial from YouTube for Google Docs. It just goes over the very basics that are stated here in the objectives. Here's another lesson here for Google Docs. Okay. The one that I want to concentrate on here is 3.1. This is one that I've used in class. I've actually tried it out and worked really well. So this is a field trip that they're supposed to decide on where they want to go and make up a list of what month and where the actual trip they would be going. Anyway, I use universal design in laying out this website. If you'll notice, there's not a lot of bells and whistles on here. There's no flashing lights. There's not a lot of word art. It's very basic. This is good for dyslexic students. This is good for students with ADHD. There's not a lot of distractions. As far as the dyslexic student, the font used is one without serif, so it makes it easier for them to read. This is Arial, and it was one of the fonts that were recommended for dyslexic students. Also over here is a picture that's tied into, what the job is or the task is. Underneath, this is another suggestion for dyslexic students where there's a small caption under each picture just describing what the picture is. Here you can open up the actual sheet that we're going to use, a spreadsheet. And I've already typed the information in there because I'm not teaching them anything by going over the typing. I wanted to have it all ready because what I really want to go over with them is how to set up formulas. Okay, so I have this all ready for them to go. They can just pick on that and save it into their own folder. Down here, there's videos for each step or each portion of the lesson. Instead of having one long video through the entire class, what I used to do is record the whole lesson as I was doing it on the board. But then what I've done for the ADHD students specifically is broken it down into more manageable chunks. This is good for several reasons. It breaks it up. They don't get bored watching the same video. They also, if they already know some of the stuff, they don't want to sit through learning how to resize a column, for example, or inserting a column. They may already know how to do that, so they can skip right down to something that they need more help with, for example, the autofill or undo or share, whatever. So this is broken down into smaller chunks, and hopefully that'll keep their attention. Down here, I tried to incorporate some gamification by using Flipgrid. Now, this isn't going to work without students actually on a Flipgrid account, but they can pick here, and this keeps them really involved. I've used this with my high school students, and they love it. But again, you can't use it without having a group that's already logged on. Okay, so that'll take you to the Flipgrid page. We don't really need to go there because we can't use it today. Down here, I have an exit ticket, which gives me immediate feedback on how the students did with this particular lesson. And you can design a generic one for all lessons. I tried to make this one specific to this lesson because we're changing fonts, sharing a spreadsheet, etc. So 5 is the highest. So with a 5, the students can do it on their own and probably help someone else. Here they can do it on their own. They may need a little help from me. If they rate a 3, it means they did it, but they needed help doing it. They need to be walked through it. And 2 to 1 means that they really needed a lot of help or they can't do it at all on their own. So I can get immediate feedback from this at the end of their lesson. And they like knowing if somebody cares whether they're getting it or not. So it's a little more interactive and it helps with engagement. See, I can check the responses. What would happen with the students' names and emails would be listed over here. And then I can see how they rated it. So if I see all 4 and 5s, I know that the lesson went well. If I'm seeing a lot of 1, 2s, even 3s, I'm thinking that something has to be redesigned or I need to cover the material better. So that's good for the students and it's good for me. We all get feedback with that. All right, back to the page. They also can email me at any time. I have an email later on. But that's for the exit ticket. And just for fun, I skipped that one. Here's a Kahoot game. Again, I need the students to be logged on to be able to do that. But they can just pick on this link. At a certain time, they're given a code, and I have it set up. It's an interactive quiz, and they can play. They get really competitive. We use it a lot before quizzes, and I highly recommend it. It's a great game, and students really like it. Any age students really like this. So they go in, they log in a code that's specific to that game that goes with that lesson. Again, I'm not going to bother with this because, again, we can't get into it without everybody being logged on. But it does work, and we have used it. Here's some other things that I've included. Computer basics. There's just some games on kia.com that goes over basic computer terminology. They can play Hangman. They can play Asteroids and different games, matching games. So they could, for example, go in here and test their skills that way. So for example, they pick on monitor, and that would be a video display. Okay, so they can have some fun with that. This is a way if they get done the lesson and there's 5 or 10 minutes left to class, that they're still doing something that has to do with the lesson and they're keeping themselves out of trouble. We have Technology Hangman, what that's just terminology. And Sky Chase is a keyboarding game that they can play with each other. One student types in a code, gives it to the rest of the students, and they compete against each other with the. It helps with their keyboarding skills, but they like playing it because they're competitive. And finally, here I have some information about me, so the kids can read that, make fun of my picture, whatever. So this gives them a little bit of information about me, makes it a little more personal. It's someone that they know. So again, just to recap here, we have the homepage. We have the Twitter here that I tried to, during the school year, I haven't done it so much now, but during the school year, I try to update this daily. And it just gives them something else to look at, gives them a little more connection with me. This whole page was designed using the Dick and Carey instructional design model, where it's you can really go back at any time and fix things. You get feedback and you go back and you feedback and you can fix it. So if I find out, for example, that the flip grid isn't working or they don't like it, then I can take that out of there and I don't have something in there that doesn't work. I don't like to have something that doesn't work because it just causes disruption. Not in the classroom because I'm doing it online, but they're getting frustrated if something doesn't work, and we don't want that to happen. We discussed the UDL, or the universal design, with the fonts. The backgrounds are plain. The graphics are clear and not cluttered. A lot of white space, too. It makes it easier for the dyslexic student. I tried to incorporate a lot of the emerging trends in e-learning, such as gamification, by using the Kahoot and the Flipgrid. Again, the social media. I've used YouTube videos. They can also do this from their phone, which they love to do. I don't know what the big difference is, but if they're on a desktop or a laptop, it's the same thing. But if they can do it on their phone and they can have their phone in their hand, they like doing it. They feel like they're in some kind of control of the device. It also keeps them from using the phone for other things. I find the students will be on the computer doing a lesson and talking to their friends on the phone. So if they're doing the lesson on their phone, then they're not doing other things, supposedly. That's the goal. So we've kind of worked in some mobile learning into that. So that's what I have here. This has been a great program. Everything that I've done on this is pretty much from this program. I've been wanting to do something like this, but wasn't really sure how to set it up. So the only problem I have is I'm going to have to get this over into the Woodbury High School Google site. So I may have to redesign the whole thing. But I just wanted to make sure that you were able to see it. And if anybody has any questions, I can be emailed at ccheyney@woodburysch.com, which is on here somewhere. Okay, so that's everything. It's been a great program. I'm looking forward actually to take more classes that have to do with e-learning. So if you get a master's program, be sure to let me know. Thanks for everything.